big weekend for the University of Alabama, and also one of the Tide's major offensive line prospects has narrowed it down to two choices. Did the Tide make the cut? If you're watching this, you probably already know that. But we're going to let you know if you don't know it here in just a minute on Locked On Bama.
Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson, that's me. Jimmy Stein, that's him. Jimmy, how are you today?
Doing good. Hot this weekend. Ooh, goodness.
It was very hot. I'll tell you something. Before I won't get in big into this, but I did get to see Top Gun this weekend, and it was good. It was really good. There was no plot. There was a mild plot, and I think most of the dialogue consisted of people saying, "Don't give me that look." That was said like 10 times in the movie. And I thought, did nobody edit this and say, y'all know we're saying, don't give me that look a lot, right? But anyway, I thought it was good. It was definitely worth seeing. It wasn't the greatest movie of all time, but it's a great, great popcorn movie to me. And so it was good to be back in the theaters. That being said, another thing that was good this past weekend is Caden Proctor out of Iowa has narrowed his choices down to Alabama and to Iowa. Now, we've talked about him on this podcast before. You have gone out of your way to say that you think it's going to be very difficult for Alabama because you think he's going to end up staying home at Iowa, and that certainly can happen, certainly makes some sense. One of our listeners responded on a podcast of ours saying, look, hey, it's a little bit much to say, Iowa and Wisconsin to put so many offensive linemen in the league versus Alabama. And maybe that's true, but being from Iowa and getting an Iowa offer is usually, seals the deal. I mean, it's sort of like the way being from the state of Alabama and getting an Alabama offer used to seal the deal. I think Iowa has less talent, obviously, than the state of Alabama. And I feel like Alabama players now have branched out more than Iowa players, I would dare say. But look, Alabama's got a shot. I think he's incredible. I think he's one of the top 5-10 prospects in the country. I think most people believe that. And I feel very good now that Alabama has given him enough to think about that we make his final two. He's not going to even visit anybody else.
Yeah, I actually feel better about this than at any point since been recruiting Caden Proctor for a long time, actually a real long time, since he really burst onto the scene, 9th, 10th grade. I mean, this isn't somebody we just started recruiting a few months ago. So we've known the kid for a while and have a good relationship with him. I feel better about Alabama's position with Caden Proctor than I have at any point. I do think Alabama's given him a lot to think about. I certainly don't rule out him choosing Alabama. A lot of the most highly recruited kids in the country do. It would not be crazy at all for him to pick Alabama. As a matter of fact, it makes a lot of sense. And I think he's strongly considering it. It's just my opinion based on what I know. It's an opinion, but it's based on what I know. I think he's going to stay home. I still believe that. Now, I believe it less than I believed it even a week ago, as things are definitely trending good for Alabama and Alabama's direction. But in the end, I think it's Iowa, and I'll stick with what I've said all along. I think if he's playing any other position, I would like Alabama's chances. But, offensive lineman, it is an offensive line destination program. And, there's a famous picture even on the On3 board. There's a good picture of him and Tristan Wirfs that's on the On3 message board right now, who might be the best tackle or best right tackle in the NFL. He's an Iowa guy. And then they had the center, drafted, in the first round last year. So I think it's going to be Iowa, but I do think Alabama's trending in the right direction here. And if it's Alabama, it's not like I'm going to be shocked.
Yeah, I certainly do hope it's Alabama. I mean, boy, what a huge pickup that would be. And considering some of the other guys that Alabama's in on when it comes to offensive linemen, adding him to the mix would be awesome. And look, I mean, Alabama's had some offensive line issues. I mean, it wasn't the best offensive line last year, and
Right.
this year it seems to be maybe one of the weakest spots on the team. Granted, that's all relative because the rest of the team is Heisman winners and Doak Campbell guys, and I mean just badass wide receivers, and I mean linebackers out the yin yang. So yeah, it's all relative, but at the same time, that's oddly been sort of a weak spot if Alabama has a weak spot. But Jimmy, want to tell everybody, first of all, thank you for making us your first listen. We really do appreciate you guys a ton. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online, and I want to tell you about Bet Online right now. These folks at Bet Online are just awesome. It's your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's NHL playoffs and Major League Baseball, the futures for NFL, future for college, College World Series, whatever you want, you can find it at Bet Online. Bet Online is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. And BetOnline.net remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check on all your favorite sports teams and events and whatever else you want when it comes to sports, including MMA and boxing and golf. BetOnline is where the game starts. All right, Jimmy, let's talk about some bad recruiting news.
Great.
Alabama thought they were about to get a kicker commit. We all felt this way. You were on a text chain with me and some other folks, and we were talking like, hey, Alabama could be getting a kicker to commit pretty soon. This guy had a blast at Alabama. He goes to Georgia and commits practically on the spot.
Yeah. And despite it's so many strange things about it, not only did he love his Alabama trip, not only did he, I don't know that he privately committed to Alabama. I can't report that as being true. I don't know that, but I wouldn't be surprised to hear that. I mean, it was that big a thing. I mean, where it's like, I mean, you can go ahead and put this kid down in pencil. This is going to happen. And then he takes this trip to Georgia and commits on the spot. And on top of that, Luke, Georgia has two other kickers on scholarship, including a sophomore. Alabama's not going to have any, because if you didn't know, and I've seen a lot of confusion about this on words, yes, Will Reichard has the eligibility to return in 2023 due to the COVID year. He could come back in 2023, but he will be completing now his fourth season of being Alabama's starting kicker. He's getting married in January, and he has expressed to the staff that and to those around him that his intention as of now is to leave after this season. So Reichard won't be back in 2023. At least that's what Alabama has to plan for now. He could change his mind, and Alabama could work to change his mind. But as of now, that's the situation. So Alabama needs a starting kicker for 2023. Peyton Woodring was the guy they picked through the recruiting process and offered. He's the only kicker they've offered to this moment. And now the kid has just chosen Georgia. That's fine. So I guess now it's on to plan B. That could be whoever was the runner-up to Peyton Woodring in our kicker sweepstakes. Or what I would recommend, just me, talking to me, I would wait until the season's over and pluck one out of the portal in December, January, just because I would trust the evaluation more. I trust the evaluation of watching a guy kick in college versus high school, where it really is a projection as to how he's going to do on the next level in terms of getting the ball up quickly. That's the big thing that has to happen. That's what they have to learn to do to kick at the next level. Kicks in high school don't really get blocked very much, but in college they will every time unless you get the ball up quickly. There is a difference for those that like, what's the difference? It's a huge difference, actually, and not to mention wider goalposts and kicking off a tee and everything else. So I would wait and take one out of the portal at this point, unless Alabama, and I don't know this, maybe Alabama's like, well, we like Woodring and this other guy, and it's a coin flip, and the coin flip came up Woodring. And if it's that close, okay, go ahead, take the other high school guy. But to my knowledge, that's not the situation.
Yeah, I'm with you. Kicker to me seems like such a no-brainer out of the transfer portal. And it seems like it'd be so easy to recruit one. Look, I can see a running back or a quarterback saying, I've been here. I love this place. I've set all these records, and I know I'm the man. If I'm a quarterback at, Western Kentucky, and then I go to Alabama, maybe I'm not ready for that. But if you're a kicker, I mean, why wouldn't you want to? You got the easiest job. You're essentially kicking extra points. It's amazing we've ever kicked another field goal after the kick six. So, yeah, I mean, you just got essentially you're guaranteed a ring. You're guaranteed to get your name out there a lot, which, means something just branding wise. I would definitely go after a transfer portal kicker. That seems like a no-brainer to me if we're going to miss out on this guy, which apparently we have. So, it happens. Georgia recruits really well. Look, I know it stings a little bit because Georgia takes the kicker that we definitely wanted. We definitely wanted him. Georgia beat us. Georgia also comes to the state of Alabama and gets A.J. Harris, a cornerback out of Central Phoenix City, that apparently either Alabama wouldn't – you tell me. Was Alabama pursuing him very hard, or was it Alabama wasn't that interested, or was Alabama interested and he was never interested in Alabama? Because it seems like I never heard Alabama's name associated with him.
It's mostly on his end. I kind of have a couple different reads on that. But first of all, A.J. Harris is not from the state of Alabama. He's a military kid. He moved all over the place. He doesn't even stay at the same high school very long. I mean, this will be his second high school in Phoenix City alone. This upcoming year, moves around a lot. He was offered by Alabama. He came to Alabama's A-Day. I think that's the only time he ever visited Alabama. This is just a kid for whatever reason. I don't know what the reason is. For whatever reason, him and his family had no interest in Alabama whatsoever. None. Alabama tried. They offered him a scholarship. They offered him trips to campus. And I think after a while, you just kind of like go, we're wasting our postage here and move on. But that said, I also think there's a level to this, which is, hey, if Alabama felt this was Julio Jones, they never would have given up. They would have just, built a hotel across the street from his house and just camped out there until they changed his mind. If it was Julio Jones, they probably don't feel that way about this kid. But in the end, I think the easy answer is A.J. Harris and his family had no interest in Alabama. I don't know what the reason is. Can't fathom what it is, but that's okay. This idea of the hand-wringing over every single kid, losing Peyton Woodring is a much bigger deal than people are letting on, because there really is no plan B. But you lose A.J. Harris, we're recruiting 20 other DBs as good as that guy, or nearly as good as that guy. It's less of a big deal, actually, to lose A.J. Harris than it is Peyton Woodring, where now it's like, gosh, I hope that kicker from Tulsa gets in the portal. I mean, that's just kind of where we're at with kicker, which is sort of a critical position. So, but that's a long way to answer what I think your question was, which is, no, A.J. Harris just didn't like Alabama. Mute.
Okay, that makes sense. I know you were about to say mute. I was trying really hard.
You fixed it.
I know I fixed it just as you were saying it. Yeah. I mean, again, Alabama's not for everybody, and look, Georgia's sort of the hot thing right now. So, that's cool. I get it. I mean, sometimes you're going to lose one to Georgia. Okay. I mean, go to Georgia, man.
Hey, we might get Jelani Thurman from Georgia, who's visiting this weekend. I don't believe Georgia's offered him. They've taken another tight end from elsewhere. And I know Georgia didn't really recruit Jelani Thurman because they liked another tight end. But as far as I'm concerned, if Jelani's as good as I think he is, I mean, that's a net win for Alabama over Georgia, because had Georgia recruited him, they might have gotten him, But hey, Alabama's going to get their share that Georgia wants too. But hey, it is going to happen. We're going to lose kids to them. We offer more than 20. We offer more than 25 guys for a reason, and yet people freak out when we lose one. We offer the other. Here's an example. This is crazy in terms of our offers. Now I realize that not every Alabama offer means the same. That is true, but it all starts with an offer, right? I mean, you don't take somebody you haven't offered. It starts with an offer. And this week we had to do a project on 3 about every school's offers and stuff. And so me and my two compadres at On 3, we had to do this little project where we had to kind of examine the situation of every single kid we offered. It took us days. It was over 50 kids apiece. I had to look at over 50 kids. Clint had to look at over 50 kids. Joseph had to look at over 50. We've offered over 150 kids in the 2022 class. Now, I realize some of these kids, they're committed elsewhere. They weren't going to be at the top of our board in terms of takes, but they hold or heard Alabama offers, and they're legitimate good prospects. So I'm just saying, we offer more than 25. We expect not to get everyone we offer.
Jimmy, let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about some of the visitors from this past weekend. All right, buddy. So this past weekend, another big weekend, just looking at some of the guys that were here. Caleb Downs, who apparently had a good time. Now,
Yep.
I just heard he had fun. Again, we're waiting on some reports to come out. They hadn't left yet. But as we're recording this on Sunday afternoon, Shelton Sampson, wide receiver, 5-star, sort of a universal 5-star too. Samson Okunlola, this is the guy we talked about last week. Makari Vickers, Jelani Thurman, as you mentioned. By the way, I wanted to mention this about Jelani Thurman. I know one of the Auburn moderators just put in a crystal ball for Jelani Thurman to Auburn. So I find that kind of interesting.
I think Auburn had a lead coming into this weekend. It'll be interesting to see if Auburn still has a lead coming out of this weekend, because if put it this way, if Jelani doesn't all of a sudden favor Alabama starting this week, I think you can say, hey, Auburn sold him.
Okay, good enough. So anyway, big weekend. Do you expect a commitment to come out of this weekend?
Sort of. I'm not going to predict a name just yet, but I'll just say that I think Samson Okunlola, Damon Wilson, Makari Vickers, and Jelani Thurman, those four guys, I think any of them could commit to Alabama this week. They could. I have not RPM'd any of that. I don't believe it will happen. If I believed it would happen, I would RPM it. I'm just saying that's something I'm watching myself, because I think that could happen. I think we lead or could lead for all of them. And Alabama makes a lot of sense for each one of those kids. And they're all really good, every single one of them. But in particular, I want to point out Damon Wilson, the pass rusher from Florida. I broke his tape down this week. He's fantastic. That's a guy we just haven't talked about enough. He's a On3 ranks him in 5-star territory. He's a national top 50 player. His recruitment has been really quiet. He just doesn't do interviews. He doesn't care to do interviews, to the point that nobody really knows what he's thinking or where he's going. The good news for Alabama is we believe, from what we've been able to gather, that Alabama's the only official visit he's got planned as of right now. And he's there. He was there this weekend. He is really good. After my tape broke down, I compared him to Tim Williams. That's who he reminds me of as a player. He's really good.
That's interesting. That's not a name that I think everybody's been talking about.
Exactly.
So I wonder what kind of waves that would send through the Alabama community if he were to commit. You know, I swear, if he were to commit, like you're predicting 100%, you're calling it a lock.
Exactly.
But if he were to commit, I'd be willing to bet most people would be like, here we go, plan B, guys. Whereas it sounds like you think of him as good as just about anybody we're going after, at least in the if the first tier is a Caden Proctor, if the first tier is, Peter Woods, this guy is like tier 1A.
First tier.
Yeah. Oh, you think he's first tier too? Okay.
I think his first On3 ranks him the 23rd best prospect in the country. So, wow. Yeah. So now in the On3 consensus, he's around 46, I think, somewhere in that area. So On3 ranks him higher than the other services. But even in the composite, in the On3 consensus, in the On3 consensus, he's like number 46. And again, On3 has him at 21, and he might even be going up. He's a pass rusher. He's extremely athletic. Again, I think he's a spitting image of Tim Williams at the same stage. He's big time. Alabama's recruiting some other edge guys, notably Quay Russaw. Wilson's a little different than him. Quay's a little more physical. I think Wilson's a little more speedy, athletic, but they're roughly the same kid in terms of, a grade you would give them.
Jimmy, I want to tell everybody the first picks of the Ultimate NBA Mock Draft have been made. Search now for Ultimate NBA Mock Draft and get over 50 insiders, the Audacity sports experts, the draft experts of Locked On NBA Big Board, all those folks. The 5-episode Ultimate NBA Mock Draft is underway. Make the Ultimate NBA Mock Draft your second listen a day, right after, of course, Locked On Bama. Thank you guys for being with us today. Thank you for continuing to follow us. We've got 1,330 subscribers on YouTube as we speak right this momento. And if y'all could please get some more subscribers, tell your friends, tell your kids that have YouTube accounts, hey, sign up for this. It's pretty awesome. You don't have to watch it. just sign up for it. We would love for you to watch it. You don't have to. I just want you to subscribe. Just give me a chance. Subscribe to me, Alabama. You know, one of my wife's clients is Alexander Shinara, so I've gotten to know him okay. He's a good dude.
Alabama fan.
He is a good dude.
And he's an Alabama fan.
Ish. Not.
Ish. Not. You would know
He's
better than me.
Fan.
He went to Alabama.
I don't think he went to Alabama.
You don't think he went to Alabama?
He's not. He's an Auburn fan, but he's not like he's not crazy. I mean, he follows Auburn, but he loves Alabama. He loves Nick Saban. He's not and this
that must be where I'm getting it from.
He's not trying to play both sides of the fence either. I just think he's the kind of guy that appreciates success and appreciates ambition. And he looks over there and sees Saban and goes, that guy just got it together, and I like him, and I like Alabama's program. And how could you not? Now, for us, the idea of cheering for Auburn is like breathing underwater. It's just not going to happen. So anyway, yeah, he's a good dude. But that's our new tagline is subscribe to us, Alabama.
Well, I'm glad he's a friend of your family's there, so we don't get sued for that.
I was about to say, I hope he doesn't sue me.
He does. Yes, he does suing. Suing is sort of his thing.
Yeah, that's kind of what he's known for. All right, buddy. That's going to do it for today's podcast. Until next time, everybody. We'll talk to you later.
Roll Tide.
Wait a minute. Roll Tide. Now you do it.
Roll Tide.
There you go.